You won't hold my cries. From ashes into the sky, I will rise into devious light.
How are you, Meli? How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm cool. The another day we couldn't make this interview because Lisa mixed some links and by
Yeah. I remember. I got the info about the interview, but I
yes.
had no link, nothing. So I was like, okay, how do I join?
It's okay. Nice to meet you, Melissa. This is very surreal to me because I'm fan of Ad Infinitum since chapter 2 Legacy. So I'm very quiet right now, but inside of me, I'm like, Melissa.
Nice to meet you too. It's very nice to talk to you.
Okay, I want to start with this with a quiet question, and surely very typical question that is, how was the writing and recording process for chapter 3, Downfall, and how long did it take?
Oh, it was very cool because we were we had so much time we couldn't really tour or play concerts. So our mind was fully into songwriting, and Nick had this brilliant idea to go to a cabin somewhere lost in the middle of nowhere to do songwriting all together. So we gathered lots of ideas, either individual songwriting or team songwriting, and then we went to this cabin and we started working on all the ideas together. We had 2 songwriting stations. One was in one of the big rooms, and one was in the living room, and so we made some teams, and we were working all together on, like, one team on some ideas and then sending it to the other team, and then one team working on other ideas, sending it to the other team. And we worked on all the songs like this, and we worked still on a few songs afterwards when we got back home. Also, some songs were totally started during this songwriting camp. So it was such a great experience.
And speaking about the creative process, is it always the same process when working? I mean, when you say, okay, it's time to work on a new album, the process is always the same, or this time was different?
I think it was a little different because of this camp that we had, we had 1 week together.
Yes.
So most of the work was done at that moment, and but we started exchanging demos, I would say end of summer, beginning of fall 2021, and then we met for this songwriting camp in end of January or beginning of February 22. And in March, if I'm not mistaken, we started the recordings. So it was very interesting to work this way and then to go straight to the studio. Nick recorded the drums at Jacob Hansen at Hansen Studios here in Denmark. Then Corby and Adrian recorded the guitars and bass, and I recorded the vocals also with Jacob. And it was the first time we recorded the drums with Jacob, and I have to say he's a nerd about drums, and he really took the time to perfect his drum sound. And you can hear it. I feel like the drum sound on this album is more powerful.
Yeah, I think the same. Do you find it difficult to get inspiration sometimes, or at this point it's easy for you have the enough inspiration to write?
I find it easy when I get started. It's always difficult when we say, okay, let's start building this album, and I get into songwriting. The first few days are a little bit difficult. I feel like the first ideas are a little bit rusty, but once I really get into it, it becomes super easy.
Cool. Hey, do you have a really nice setup? Do you do streams in Twitch? Because
no, I don't do
like
Twitch. Thanks. No, I don't do Twitch. I do Patreon. I do Patreon live streams every month. Yeah.
Oh, cool. But you can do it. You can do it. I think that you will be successful there as well.
Thanks.
Do you have any favorite song from this album?
Oh,
A song that make you say the result of this song is incredible.
I think my favorite songs are, I would say Upside Down
Yeah, okay.
and it's difficult because it changes sometimes. Like for example, for a long time my favorite song was Legends.
Hmm.
And then it went back to Upside Down and Somewhere Better, because when we were playing those songs live, it was incredible to see the reaction of the people. But yeah, Upside Down, Somewhere Better, and probably Legends. Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
It's okay. Yes, it is. It's always is a very difficult question to answer, because for an artist that made all these songs, it's difficult. It's like choose your kids,
Yeah,
between-
exactly.
A question that my subscribers have been repeating a lot, because I'm from a YouTube channel, is that why doesn't the band use their masks anymore? I can imagine that this question is by the new pick on the new album, the artwork.
Well, for several reasons, actually. We were discussing about the mask when we played our first show. The guys had their mask for the first, I think, 3 songs, and then they removed them. And then we just kept doing this, and at some point we decided just not have the masks. The first reason is when you play live and you have a mask, you're missing the interaction with the people, the eye contact, because there's so much stuff happening that you couldn't really see the eyes, and you couldn't really see the expression, and it looked so stone cold. We saw it when we watched, for example, the show that we recorded in Cologne, with the very first masks that we had. That, yeah, you kind of lose a lot of the interaction. So for us, it was very important to have this interaction when, for example, Adrian goes up to the riser and plays a solo, and he's like very intense and looking at the people in the front row, and this is so important for us. And the second reason is it's so warm and not practical at all, that we decided to find an outfit entirely that's practical for live shows, for long term, and all that. That when we're on stage we can really focus on the music, and not like, oh my god, the leaves is going in the strings, the sleeve is going in the strings and that stuff. So we could deliver a full performance with everything we want to give.
Yeah, I can imagine that it's uncomfortable to perform, have all these outfits sometimes.
Yeah. I remember Adrian being a little bit pissed because he was, it's the time for the solo, and then suddenly, like I said, the sleeve was getting in the strings, and then there's of course a fuck up, and he was like, come on.
Oh, how come you have so much time to be in so many bands? I mean, for people who don't know this, you're obviously in Infinitum. You're also in a project called The Dark Side of the Moon, which is also quite successful. And you recently toured with Camelot in Latin America. So
Yeah.
my question is it difficult to you to contrast the fact of being in so many bands and having enough time to be in all of them and not miss any opportunity?
I think it's all right now. I used to have more projects going on because, if a friend was asking me to sing on an album, and then there's a band who wanted to have me on an album, I used to take a lot of projects on top of my bands, and at some point I realized that it was too much for me. So I really slowed down at some point and said I will focus on my bands and something that is really close to my heart or very important for me. The schedule right now, with all the bands combined together, like with Ad Infinitum, with The Dark Side of the Moon, and with Camelot, it somehow fits in a very magical way. I don't know how, but it fits. And honestly, for example, with the Dark Side of the Moon, everyone in this band has another main band, so it makes it also easier because we're not gonna go full on touring with this, knowing that Martin is in Amaranth, Jenny and Hans are in Feuerschwanz, and I'm in Ad Infinitum.
Cool, cool. And speaking about Camelot, many years ago, you was making covers of Camelot, and now you're touring with them. So
Yes.
how did you feel touring with this band? I mean, this was the first time you toured in Latin America, or have you already been to Latin America?
It was the first time I ever stepped foot in Latin America, actually. My first time in each country we toured in,
Oh,
and it was a great experience. I didn't know what to expect, and I told the guys the first show we had was in Santiago, in Chile, and I was listening. I just removed my in-ears to listen to the crowd, and I was like, "This sounds like a football stadium."
yes, yes, yes. Yes, all the
Yeah.
bands say the same. But how you feel? I mean, how warm? Much better say
Oh,
this collaboration with Camelot. I mean, they contact to you, or you contact them?
they contacted me, and fun fact is that I think the first time we talked about it was in 2020, or maybe, yeah, I think it was in 2020. Then the tour got postponed, and then again, and finally it happened a few weeks ago. And I was very happy because, like you said, I got inspired by this band a lot. I covered a couple of those songs,
Mm.
and I really took a moment when I was on stage with them. I mean, between songs that I was singing, I was listening to the band from backstage,
Mm.
and I was like, "Oh, this is really cool."
Cool, cool. And did you have the opportunity of taste some food or drinks typical from Latin America? I mean, here in Argentina, where I am, it's very typical the Fernet, for example, the drink
Mhm.
Fernet, that is alcohol,
Yeah,
and the barbecue, typical from here, that is
yeah,
called
yeah.
asado.
Oh, I didn't have the chance to try this. I tried barbecue in Brazil,
Oh, okay.
and also something very typical. And I will quickly tell you a funny story about this because we were in this restaurant where
Mm,
apparently very typical, and they come with some different things to eat. Like, for example, they had this very delicious pineapple with
mm,
the cinnamon or whatever. They come with lots of things to the table,
mm.
and you have your plate, and we didn't understand. They kept coming again and again and again, and we were like, we're full now. And
Okay.
then we understood that there was a little something like this in paper, and
Mm.
one side was green and the other side was red. And as long as you keep it on green, they keep coming with food, and we were like, oh, okay. And then I was like, okay, no, we're full. So that was really funny. And I tried, of course, caipirinha.
Oh,
I
yeah.
tried, what did I try? Oh, this I don't remember. It's something with cheese. Um, oh, I don't remember, but it's fried and it's cheese, and
Mm,
it was also typical from I think from Brazil.
yeah.
But yeah, I tried nice things. The food there is amazing. I also had some empanadas, and
Cool,
yeah, oh my
cool.
god,
Yes.
so really good stuff.
Cool, cool. Now, speaking about some things more serious, have you had any bad experience throughout your career for the simple fact of being a woman? Because obviously, women experience things that men will never experience, and vice
Mhm,
versa. But I have interviewed several women already, and they have all had something different to tell. For example, Fernanda Lira from Crypta told me that one of the many things that has happened to her is that once in a show of her, she wanted to enter her own dressing room, and a
mhm.
security guy didn't let her in, telling her, "This is for the band." And Fernanda told him, "I am the band." And the security guy answers, "No, no, this is for the band, not for who the band is with," insinuating something that like he was a groupie or something like that. And that really sucks. I'm not a woman, obviously, but
Mhm.
I can imagine that really sucks. Um, I want to know if you had to go through situations like this or similar.
Yeah, I mean, I had to go through some things like this, not only because I'm a musician, but because women go through some things like this sometimes. Um, I think compared to women in metal who came, who who paved the way for us, like who came many years ago, who had to go through a lot of things like this. I think right now it's much more sophisticated, let's say, and much more equal. However, I will just mention two things. I felt like in the beginning I had to prove a lot more that I was capable of doing this, that I was a real vocalist and not just, the girl that happened to be here. That, for example, when I was screaming, I had some nasty comments. Also, when I was starting, I felt like I had to work 10 times more so people would take me serious. But this is something that I felt, let's say, at the beginning of my career, and that passed relatively quick. So I would say that it was okay. The things that I still experience sometimes that are really disgusting is I'm at the merch, for example, taking pictures, and then someone just grabbed me by the butt, and you're like, what? It's never okay. What the fuck are you? Sorry. What are you doing? And this is
how you deal with that comments, with the hate comments or the disgusting comments?
I ignore them, because if you give it attention to someone who is just trolling, it just grows, and this is not the right thing to do. Often what I do, and I don't know if people know this, by the way, but on YouTube, sometimes when there's a bad comment, I click on the profile and you can see the last 3 comments that person left on that channel. And very often it's just hate towards any band.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, this is just a person that is sad.
That happened in my channel as well, and I can understand that people, I can understand.
Yeah.
It's really disgusting. But now let's talk about more beautiful things.
Yes.
Going back to the album, we have chapter 1, chapter 2, and this time chapter 3, Downfall. I want to ask you, the lyrics on this record are connected to each other with the record title, or every song on every record talk of different topics?
So the songs are connected within an album, but not with the previous records. We called them chapter 1, 2, and 3 because all of 3 albums are somehow concept albums, and each chapter represents one chapter in the life of the band. But the first album was about Louis XIV. The second album was about Vlad the Impaler. And the third album is about Cleopatra and the gods of ancient Egypt.
Cool. And who do you feel working with Napalm Records? Because this label has been supporting Ad Infinitum since the beginning, right? From the first album.
Yeah, I mean, that was so great to be able to release music with them from the very beginning. There's a lot of experience that we didn't have in the beginning, and that we could take from their experience with working with bands, when it comes to promotion, to choosing singles, for example, who to work with. When you're a starting band, even if you have the experience from previous projects or from working with other people, there's so much to figure out. And when you have a team around you, it's such a relief, because it's not easy sometimes to swim in those waters.
Yeah, I can imagine. There is a lot of things that you have to make, and you just can't, because you have to plan the tour, you have to make the album, and someone can't make all these things. And so I think it's great to have a team that in charge of all things. So
exactly.
We're getting to the end, and I want to talk about the From the Ashes video. There was a scene, there was a scene where the production team literally burned your hand with real fire. Yeah. So my question is, are you okay or are you crazy?
My hand is okay, and I think I'm okay.
No, the real question is, how was the videos for From the Ashes and Upside Down made? And how long did it take? The shooting was in Denmark or Switzerland?
Upside Down, we shot it in Poland, and From the Ashes in Germany. Upside
Okay.
Down was with a different team, actually, with Group 13, and they had so many ideas. They had like, okay, first we have set number 1, then set number 2, set number 3, blah blah blah, and it was like we filmed
Mm.
I think almost the whole day, or let's say from noon until the end of the day or beginning of the evening,
Mm.
and it felt incredible because there was this whole team working, operating camera, lights, special effects, and this and that, and building, and then we were treated like royalty with like nice food. and and then From the Ashes was with another team, and it was a different experience because we were outside in this abandoned factory that is kind of destroyed, and so the video director Mirko Witzki, he sent us some, a mood board and a storyboard, and we kind of imagined what was happening, but on set we realized all
Mm.
the ideas that he had, especially with the fire. At some point he tells me, okay, so now we're gonna try to set your hand on fire, and I'm like,
Mm. Okay.
okay. And then they explain me how it works, and we tried first on one finger, then a little bit more, and then we shot the whole thing.
Mm.
And it was actually very fun to try. I was at first, I never tried anything like this before, so I
Mm.
was like, okay, and then I loved it.
Cool, cool. Yeah, I follow it. I follow you on Instagram, and I watched a reel where the drummer sacrificed some cymbals with fire.
Oh yes,
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. It's a really nice video, really.
thank you so much.
Okay, the second last question is: did you ever think that Ad Infinitum was going to be as successful as it is today? Because this band could be said with total security to be an established band, or at least almost established, because it has many good numbers on all streaming platforms, which speaks of a very loyal audience, So
Yes. Yeah, I honestly, I didn't imagine that it would happen so fast because I've never seen it happen so fast before, or with friends in the other bands or whatever. So I thought, okay, it's going to take a lot of time until we can grow that much. And the fact that we started in the middle of the pandemic, people, first of all, were super super supportive. We released our first album when the pandemic started, so we thought, okay, bad luck, we will do better with the next one. But no, people were at home. They were super hungry for new entertainment, new music, and they were super supportive, and they shared all our music videos, and they created this community around us. And I mean, we're all in the band super grateful, and also super how to say, surprised, for example, when we played shows last year and we saw how many people had our t-shirt, or how many people were singing the lyrics, and we are like, oh, wow, okay,
mm,
okay, this is real.
cool, 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 good. And to finish, what advice would you give to someone just starting out in the music industry? Someone that is in the beginning of his career, making covers or making a band?
Mhm. I think that my main advice is to do something, either to join something or to create something that feels true to themselves. It's only when you're part of something that resonates completely with you that you will do what you love with its full potential. Like, for example, if you're a singer, you will shine the most when you're singing something that feels true to what you love, and true to your voice. And I think it's the same with every instrument.
Mm, yeah. And another question related with your voice. How do you take care of your voice? I mean, do you do any warm up or any kind of exercise before of go to the stage or before of record?
Yeah, I usually, when I have a little bit of privacy, it's when I warm up the most, because I don't like when people hear me warming up. But what I usually do is I have this this big straw, plastic straw that is called Laxvox.
Mhm.
I mean, that's the name of the company. And I sing in this straw, which is in a bottle of water.
Mm.
And so I can sing at low volume, but warm up my voice. And then I will sing a little bit backstage and maybe scream as well. If I'm playing a show where I have to scream. And yeah, I try to just go through my whole register, the whole range, to warm up everything, and also to go fast between notes, so the agility of my voice is warm.
Cool. Perfect, Melly. That was all for today. And it was a really big pleasure to talk with you. Really, I wish you a lot of
Same for
more
me.
success. And I
Thank
hope to
you.
see you here in Argentina with that Infinitum very soon.
I hope so too. I really hope so. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks to you. Goodbye.
Bye.